Hi, I'm Ernie Conover. I've been building furniture for over 40 years. This is a reproduction of a shaker sewing stand. I've made it from curly cherry and put it together with mortise and tenon joints and hand-cut dovetails. I like to think of my furniture as a work of art. One of the hallmarks of art furniture is what is often referred to as a hand-rubbed finish. For my hand-rubbed finishes, I rely on Waterlox Original Sealer Finish. It brings out the beauty of the wood and protects my piece from everyday wear and tear. I have just completed the first step in the finishing process, which was to sand this to a very high degree of final smoothness. I have sanded it to 220 grit. Because I started the smoothing process with very sharp hand planes, I was able to simply sand with 180 and then 220. If this was wood out of a modern surface planer, I would start sanding at 80 or 120 grit, go 150, 180, 220. The important point here is not to skip more than 1 grit of sandpaper and to sand a little longer than you think you need to at each grit. After sanding, I wipe the piece down with what is called a tack cloth, which picked up all the dust. I have vacuumed up my shop and got all the dust off the floor and off my bench and put down some newspaper that I buy in rolls on the bench to both protect the piece and to keep dust down during the finishing process. Let's start applying the first coat of Waterlox Original Sealer Finish. We'll put it on fairly heavy on this first coat and wait a full 24 hours before we apply another. It will take 3 to 5 or even 6 coats to get a true hand-rubbed finish. And how many coats largely depends on the type of wood in the piece and how glossy you want the finish to be. I now have my open can of Waterlox here. I put on nitrile gloves, which are chemical resistant. They're a good thing to use when you're finishing. They protect your hands. And I have some lint-free cloth. And I'm simply going to pad this on, using it quite liberally at this time. You can see that Waterlox Original Sealer Finish is already started to bring out the natural beauty of this cherry. This is actually the bottom side of this top, and I'm flipping it over to the other side. This top is what a cabinet maker calls an unwrapped panel. There's no frame around it to keep it level. Therefore, finishing both sides somewhat equally. You can put a little more on the top than the bottom, but getting finish on both sides is important because that causes the top to lose and gain water at equal rates from both sides and tends to keep it more level throughout its lifetime. We're now applying finish to the carcass. Again, a fairly heavy finish, and I try to get any surface I can to be horizontal during the finishing process because that helps a lot with the finish not running down and creating drips. Our forefathers did not finish the inside of their pieces. They didn't finish the insides of the drawer or the inside of the carcass. And I hold with that tradition. I simply do the drawer fronts and I do back about that far to enhance the look of the dovetails, but I don't finish the rest of the drawer. I do that for a couple of reasons. Is one, that you can sometimes smell finish inside of a cabinet for a long time after finishing, and that kind of niggles me. Secondly, I kind of like the look and feel of bare wood. This has been brought to a smooth finish with a hand plane, and I just leave it bare. I would also normally wear a carbon vapor respirator during this finishing process, but because this is a video, I would sound a little muffled through that. Okay, we're back 24 hours later, putting our second coat on our piece here. We're going to do something just slightly different from the first coat. We're going to apply the oil with a lint-free piece of cloth as we did before, but we're now going to sand that oil in with a piece of 220 grit sandpaper, which is what I sanded to in the first place. And this will further smooth out the piece because the efficiency of the sandpaper is greatly increased wet. Really, we're making a custom wood filler that will dry as the oil dries, and we'll get a very beautiful and super smooth finish. And now we're going to put on just another light wiping of oil, 24 hours. Okay, it's day 3, and we're going to apply the next coat of Waterlox Original Sealer Finish. And we're going to do something a little different. This time we're going to sand the finish in with 320 grit paper, a little bit finer, and all subsequent coats after this, tomorrow and the next day if necessary, I'm going to use 400 grit. I will never go finer than 400 grit because it doesn't gain you anything, but it is the way you get these super smooth art furniture finishes. And after applying a little bit more finish, I'm going to very lightly wipe that down with paper towel. The idea to make the coating thickness even. 24 hours. Well, it's taken a full 6 coats of Waterlox Original Sealer Finish to get the level of sheen and the smoothness that I desired on this piece of art furniture. When you have curly grains, there's vertical grain at the crest of each curl, and it often takes a little more finish to fill that kind of wild wood. You can also see some of the details of this piece. One is that the drawers are all cut from the same board, so the grain matches throughout the piece, up and down, side to side. The knobs are hand turned from curly maple, and my signature is a black dot in the center of each knob. They're turned as Siamese pairs and then put on the cabinet so that the grain matches in each set of knobs, and the ones at the top are slightly smaller than the ones as they go down to correct for your perspective as you look down on the piece. When I go to all this crazy kind of work for a piece of furniture, I rely on Waterlox to bring out the natural beauty of the wood and to protect my work for future generations.
Hi, I'm Kelly with Waterlox. Thank you for watching. We hope you found this helpful. There are more videos and guides available at waterlox.com/support. With passion and pride, we've been making Waterlox resin-modified tung oil wood finishes since 1910 by hand, using only the very best ingredients along with our original family formulas. Whether it's our original or marine formula, we have a product that's perfect for your next wood project. To us, there is nothing more rewarding than preserving the authenticity and inherent beauty of wood, which is why wood enthusiasts everywhere choose Waterlox. Let wood be beautiful.